Mm.
There we go.
Thank you.
Yep.
Happy Tingshaw.
Yeah.
So, Arno, did you get a chance to look at Jeff's
Yes, I
private
did.
lesson?
Yes, I did. It was very useful.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's interesting that the farther along we get, sometimes the very basic things make a lot more sense at this point than they did when we were learning them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um,
Hmm.
did, do either of you read the 365 Tao?
I not regularly, but it's right on the top of a little chest, and yes, I do. Yeah.
You
I used to.
you
Yeah.
should
I
read
used to. Yeah.
today's.
Oh, okay.
What is today's?
Inhibition,
Oh.
and it was really talking about um, the, that process
Mm,
of getting to the point where you're not um, uh, you're able to let go and not be inhibited.
yeah.
Hmm.
Uh, so yeah, it's interesting. I've been reading it probably for 20 years or
Mm,
since whenever it was published. Um,
Hmm.
but I haven't for probably the last 5 years. I just read it now and then,
yeah, that's what I
and
do. Yeah.
then I again started reading it every day, and it's worth doing
Yeah,
now and then.
yeah.
um, he never wrote another book that was as good as that, because I read other things that he did, but this was pretty amazing. So
Who was the author, David? You
don't ask
recall?
don't ask me that, Jeff. I
I,
can't.
I rescind the I rescind the question, man. My copy is still since I moved, it's still in a box. I've got a number of boxes of books and things that
Oh,
I have not opened up since we moved, so I don't know exactly where mine is.
I um, I just know I'm not going to pull his name up because I haven't even, I haven't even thought about his name for
Right.
years because it's just been 365 Tao.
I can't. I, it's
So,
not even teasing,
no.
me.
However, if I remember to look at it when I go upstairs, I'll send it to you.
There was one thing specifically that I noticed that going into the last posture,
Hmm.
in Eight Gates,
Hmm.
um, I had gone from this way, and the hands
Yep.
are up.
Yes.
I've been doing that wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you're connecting to those wrist points,
Yes. I was doing it,
and
sort of
and this is a yin movement. You're coming
okay,
in with yin and then
and
out
then out.
to
Yeah.
yang.
And
Yeah.
it's a very nice circle too.
Yes. Yes. I was thinking about that actually circularity this morning because that is so critical eventually. Um, even going beyond circularity to sphericalness is really what you're looking for. But um,
David,
yeah,
Deng Ming Dao.
yes.
I just looked it up. I didn't remember it. I looked it up.
Okay. I thought you
Deng Ming Dao.
Yep. Um, so, um, do Jeff? Do you arrive with any questions?
No, I was working on a lot of the stuff that we talked about, and I watched a good part of our class again for reminder and to see what you were doing with your hands on the on the eight gates postures and working on the C curve and things like that. Touching upon a little bit, you mentioned about the energy moving possibly two ways. You know, like we discussed. I kind of like it coming. I like trying to envision it at this stage, anyways, coming from both my head and my feet and kind of meeting in the dantian and out.
Mhm.
That
Uh-huh.
feels more right to me. So, just working further on everything we touched upon last week, or most of the things we touched upon last week. So I don't have anything new at this time.
Okay. Did you have any other questions?
No, not questions. Obviously, and stemming from last week's class, I need to work harder on incorporating the C curve into everything.
Yeah. And that's one of those things that um, just has to be a physical movement at first, and then eventually
Mm.
it becomes something you just don't think about. You just do it.
Yeah.
Um, but practice, practice,
Yeah,
practice
yeah.
is the.
Mm.
So why don't you guys get up and do the eight gates?
Okay.
Okay. I'm noticing the angle of my camera might be a little weird, but I'm just trying to get the most maximum exposure for you to be able to see.
Yeah, that's all right. So, oops. That didn't change cameras, did it? There we go. So, it's coming. It's interesting what you said earlier, how even after the length of time we've been doing this, how still there are things that.
Whoa, yeah.
One of the things I want to say is, as Master Joe said, round your corners. So the one that is most obvious is when you've been doing Qian, heaven, and you want to make that transition to Kun, earth. It's not boom, boom, because that's a corner.
Yeah.
So you have to find a way to round that upper corner. So the way I have suggested to you is that when you complete here, that you go out and then in. You're actually beginning to make a little bit of an S curve there.
Yeah.
Which allows you to round that transition. But you want to find that in all of them. But that was the one that was most obvious. The other thing I would say is that in the transitions, think about the fact that there are two parts. I've talked about finding the middle of each of the movements. So you're working with the fact that with let's go from Kun to Kan. That you're working with, how do I find the middle of the in and the out? So not letting it the transition get all yin and a little bit of yang, or a little bit of yin and a lot of yang, either one. For instance, going up to here is not yang starting here. Yang started down here in the middle of the movement. So you're bending and twisting and lengthening in and twisting out and extending out and lengthening out through there. And that transition is in the middle. It's not up here somewhere. Also, you weren't here for this, so I'm going to repeat some of what I did with Jeff last week. Finding where those circles are is not easy. And I understand that, having spent a long time getting there myself. But really, I guess the first thing I want to say is each of these is, in terms of gathering energy and releasing used energy out of the body, is working from a different angle. Each one is working on a different, somewhat different plane, but they are all focused on, or not all, there are 5 of them. The first 4 and the last one are focused on moving along that sideline, which flows from the shoulder's nest to the qua. It doesn't go out here somewhere, or one on the on the line and the other one off, which I also saw. So really being aware of getting your circles to work along the plane that you want to work them really enhances what you're doing with the energy, what energy you're getting. So it seemed to me that both of you are doing pretty well with Qian Heaven is certainly here. But when we get down to Kun Earth, it was kind of interesting that there was a tendency to make that circle go like this, whereas it needs to go like this.
Okay. Yes.
I mean, this is not along the sideline of the body. It's clear. This one is this is one of the difficult ones because you want to keep the Laogong points on the center line of the body, but the elbows obviously are moving in and out, and you want to avoid going in and out that direction. We're not doing this, we're doing this, which is...
Can you do that slowly?
No, I won't do it slowly. So what I was saying was, we don't want to do this because that's lost the side channel.
Right.
You want to do this.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. This one is better because this is at heart level, so it's just working again on this plane this way. This one, is a little more difficult, and we ideally like to work pretty much along this circle, but kind of depends on how much you can release your arms. One of the things is, remember, you want to keep the elbows pointing down. I think it was here that I was watching you, and your elbows were here, and every movement you made your shoulders go up and down. So drop the elbows when you can.
I felt my shoulders at one point. Maybe it was there. Yeah.
Yeah. I talked a little about this. Actually, this one looked pretty good. Earth is working on a diagonal circle, so it's coming in and going out. So you're trying to find this diagonal plane as much as you can. Yeah. So you want to try to avoid doing this because that's lost it. So you've got to try to get this to go along this circle. Yeah. And this one was not too bad. Again, being careful about the fact that you want this to be going along here, but also remembering what point you're connecting each of these to, because what's interesting is that this is, yes, we're talking about keeping it moving along the sidelines, but it also is connecting to the middle dantian.
Oh, because of its.
Because of its
Yeah,
level.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
And just to give you another thought here, we're not only moving the energy out to the extremities and back to the center, but ultimately we're endeavoring to move the energy with whatever one we're working on, moving the energy in and out into the etheric body. So you're beginning to try to feel that energy going out beyond the body as well as moving through it. Nothing to it.
David, can you define the etheric body again, please?
Sure, it's the second of the 8 energy bodies. So the Taoist, actually it's in traditional Chinese medicine too, but define that there are 8 energy bodies, and you start with the physical body, physical energy body, and then each of the next extends out from the physical body but also into the physical body, which is why when you connect into the etheric body, which is the second one, the second energy body, it moves energy inside you as well as connects to the energy outside. And the etheric body may be very small, or it can be quite large. It can extend out. It is, for instance, when I went, and spent the week assisting at the Dalai Lama, when he walked onto the stage, the energy changed for 5,000 people. That's the etheric body in its probably one of its largest states. It's extending out probably hundreds of yards. The emotional body is the next one and goes out beyond that. And the mental body begins to extend out into space. And then when you get into the psychic, karmic, etc., it can actually go out into other galaxies. But we're not trying to do that.
Right.
I can't do that. I'm not suggesting I can. That takes a very high level of development that's beyond what I've been able to achieve so far. So, did that help you, Jeff?
Yeah, that's more or less what I thought the answer was, but you gave me more specifics on it too and extended it, which was also helpful. So that's great.
Good. So, and of course, the one thing I'd say is the other thing that you're trying to really begin to be aware of here is the sphericalness, not only the circularity, but the sphericalness of the movement. And what's kind of interesting here is that you really get an opportunity to be aware that we begin to have not only one sphere that we're working with, and we are working with one sphere which is centered, the body is centered in, but we also have other spheres which are interconnected and are moving within that. So with each of these movements, you begin to say, well, is that one or is that two spheres? I'll let you think about that one. It's easier when you get, say, to here, because obviously this is working with two spheres, not just one. But it's also working with the big one. So,
I just figured that I'm surrounded by 300 balls,
yeah.
and no matter where I put my hands, I'm on a ball of some sort.
Well, that's sort of it. We'd like to be a little more specific. So, do you have other questions in there, Jeff?
No, no. The only one I'd kind of lost a little bit, I think, from our last class was the last one as far as the movement, but you kind of reaffirmed that that is going back to the side channels as far as the connection. But you also then, which I didn't know, added that we're also connecting to the Dantian up here as well.
Yeah, so each one of these is connecting to a specific either Dantian or primary energy point.
Mm-hmm.
So actually Qian heaven is connecting to the upper Dantian, and Kun earth is connecting to the lower Dantian.
Right.
And Kan is connecting to the water element in the body, which is kidney and bladder. So, you know, there are the organs which are related to each of the energies.
Right.
And then the final one then is into the heart mind, which is the middle Dantian.
Right. And I had not, you know, in trying to learn this on a more basic level, I was not even thinking in terms of those connections. I was still thinking along the side channels and, you know, what we've been talking about more recently. So that's a good reminder that it goes beyond that.
Way beyond that.
Yeah.
Yeah. The reason why you want to focus on the side channels is that they are primary channels for moving the energy through the body.
Right, and working out blockages and things like that that are more immediate. Yeah.
Yeah. When you begin to work with the central channel, that's another world. We can ask Bill about that. But we're not. This is not a practice which focuses on the central channel.
Right.
So, blah blah blah. Any other questions in there? That's probably more than enough on that at the moment, unless either of you has a question. Okay. There we go. So, how about the form? So do you have areas in the form where you have questions, either one of you? Are you clear in that final section?
Certainly more so than I had been, but, frankly, if we went through the form at the level we were just going through at Gates, there would be plenty for me to
Well,
work
yeah.
on, I'm sure. Yeah, because what happens with me is that I collect bad habits or lapses, and then they get carried along the next week and the next week, and
Yeah.
then all of a sudden I'm doing something rather different than what I'm supposed to be doing.
So, what about for you, Jeff? I'm sorry, I didn't.
Well, I didn't say anything yet. I actually, I agree with Bill's way of looking at this, and that would be helpful. And I think if we can do that and also add in comments and things from you regarding roundness, keeping it round and circular and spherical and flowing, and work that more into the postures than we've done so far, because I haven't really focused on that much at all in this
Yeah.
form. And if you can give us more direction with that while we do this, I think that would be very helpful.
So, I'm just, um, that's actually, Jeff, and Bill, that's what I was thinking about wanting to work on anyway. So,
Good.
did you hear?
I can't hear Jeff, so that's okay, yeah.
He was saying that he really was interested in having comments about circularity,
Okay, yeah.
sphericalness in the
Yeah.
movements in the form. Um, I don't. I'm going to do the beginning, just probably up to White Goose, um, as a demonstration, and try to really, hopefully, be able to show you the sphericalness of the movement, which is really where I'm working at the moment. But
Right.
even if you just can get circularity, that's a big step, to keep that present. And the other thing is what we were talking about in Eight Gates, of not letting any corners develop, rounding all your corners, all your corners, not
Yeah.
some of them.
And I'm quite sure that most of mine right now are not rounded well at all. So would actually be a really good next step in working on something in this form.
Yeah. So, I think what I'll do is do this a couple of times so that you can see it from different angles.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't like what I did there.
It's very familiar to me.
Questions, comments?
Yeah, your hands are farther apart, I notice, in G and on than mine are. I mean, yeah, they're at the side channels and mine are, yeah.
Good old side channels. Anything for you, Jeff?
Not right now, no.
Okay, I'll turn this to another angle.
Mhm.
So why don't you just flow that far? Jeff, why don't you hold off for a moment? Um, I realize I can't watch the two of you, one in person and
Yeah,
one
I
on
wasn't sure if you
Zoom.
wanted me to go again yet. Right. Well, I'll go again after you talk to Bill then.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Definitely a better feeling of circularity than I can see that beginning to work. Um, Try not to rush. Uh, um, Letting this be really rounded, so it's like this sphere got like this, okay? So you're really going, and then you're condensing that sphere and expanding it. And then it's coming in again, and here you want it to expand. It didn't seem to me like,
Yeah, and when you saw me stop and try to redo it because I always want to lean instead of expand.
yeah. So think about moving from here.
Okay.
If the problem is if we get too much into the hands, then we do this.
Yeah.
Whereas if we think about everything expanding, we can keep it located in the center. And then as you continue going forward and rotating, remember that you've got to come in and out, out, out. And they're small movements. And they are not, this is something you've been working on, and it is getting better, but you don't want it to be boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Because that's not what we're doing.
Yeah.
And you're shifting back in here was better.
Oh, okay.
That was good.
Yeah. Yeah, pull down. Yeah, I understand what you're saying because I've treated it as a straight line coming down. Yep. Yeah.
No, and I think one of the things that helps that is if you're here at this point, and then as you step back, this comes up. Up. I'm up at heart level.
Yeah. Okay.
And now I have some place to pull down from.
Okay.
So you're catching. It's in effect you have a wrist and an elbow.
Okay. Are the hands at the same level as they come, or is one?
They're at the same level here,
Yes.
but they're not as they go down.
Okay, this is up. Yeah.
Because
okay.
the shape
That's the shape. Okay.
remains the same, and it
Okay.
stays centered in front of the body. It's not.
Okay.
I don't think you were doing that, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, sure. You want to try it, Jeff?
Yep.
Poor Jeff.
Yeah.
This teaches me to work even smaller than usual.
That's all right.
Yep.
So it strikes me that the thing I want to say is to keep principally working on not letting the movements get straight, and let the the corners be rounded. You you obviously have pretty good control of all of the postures. They're all there, and they're all in the right order, and but for instance, and it's a little hard for me to tell on Zoom,
Right.
but I think this is what I was seeing. For instance, when you went into single whip, it felt like the movements were very straight. I mean, they were all the movements were sort of there, but I didn't have
Right.
that feeling of the flow of it, which is how it you flow into it and how you use the whole movement. You may remember that I've talked about that being a figure eight movement in there. So when you come here, it's coming in, and then it's going back out, and then it's coming in and going out. So it's doing that.
Okay.
And of course, what that does is eliminates all the possible corners they can
Right.
develop in that movement, because it's very easy to simply go back and forth.
Mm.
In White Goose, don't let these be, just hand movements. They need to be whole body movements.
Okay.
And when you get to this point, remember that this is an in. Well, it's actually, I take that back. It's an out, in, out. So your circle there, as you're going from here, is boom. As you're going out, there's a rollback. Not always, but frequently begins with an outward movement. If you in the Yang style, for instance, it's here, so it's out, in. In Master Joe's 8-gate form, it's out, in. It's just a pretty typical way that's done, is that you have an outward movement of the energy and then an inward, and then an further in for on, and then out. And so you want that sense of you're working with that ball of energy, so that you're expanding the ball, you're condensing the ball further, and then that ball is expanding. And the position of the hands, for instance, and arms is rounded. I'm embracing that ball. I'm not pushing out like this.
Okay.
I've got that sphere in my arms.
Okay.
So, have I raised more questions than helped?
No, it's just refinement, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, my thought is we'll continue just working through the form and looking at the roundness of the movement. So you might you might particularly think about wave hands, which is when you really get the ball rolling. It's and we've worked on this before, so I don't know. Do you have any questions about that? About wave hands?
No, I mean, not at this point.
Okay.
I'd like to see more
I'm sorry?
the ring. Next class when we address that, I'd like to see more of your what you have to say about the rounding of it.
So, because I'd like you to go ahead for another 6 or 8 postures, whatever, and work on that a bit. I'm just gonna do wave hands because there's no sense you're practicing it in a way that's not beneficial. But I'm sure you both know what I would say about this. But if you're here at the end of the following focus, then you're stepping back and this ball is expanding and then it's condensing and dividing into 2. And then you're going into wave hands. And you don't have that ball yet, but that's what you're doing here, is bringing those 2 balls together. And remember that at the moment that you step, you want to be somewhat of an angle on the left side, because that gives you the space to have the rotate and shift out and in. And on the other side, you don't need to do that because you're not going that far. Remember, the ball stays in front of the body. So however far your quad will open and allow you to turn, that's where the ball is. It's not over here somewhere. And then as your weight, remember, stays on the left foot. And then as you come back, David, you're going to end up in roughly the same relationship when you step, so that you can keep the ball constantly rotating through the entire movement, getting smaller and getting larger and getting smaller and larger, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Question there, David.
Yeah.
Quick question. As you're doing that and you're going from side to side, is the ball staying at the same level as it seems to cross just above the Dantian, or what is the level, and does it stay at that same level as we rotate it?
Yeah, you're right. It's yeah,
Base of sternum, sort of.
yeah.
Yeah.
We're not focusing to the middle dantian, which would be higher. It's in
No, I was
between.
thinking lower. I was thinking lower Dantian actually.
It's a little above the lower dantian,
Okay.
but it's um, yeah. It's what I said. It's really kind of waist level.
Okay.
So you're not trying to get it down to lower dantian level, nor are you trying to get it to middle dantian level.
Right. Right. But it does stay at that one level as you go from side to side.
Yeah, basically yes.
Okay. All right.
I mean, but it gets larger and smaller.
No, that I know. As the hands come in and the hands go from one side to the other, but the ball itself seemed to be, staying at that one level, and we are rotating our hands around it.
Okay. Do you have to leave?
Yeah.
Oh, it is almost time.
Yeah, I have an appointment in the city.
Oh, okay.
Thank
you.
Jeff, I gotta run, so I'll see you next week.
All right, Bill. Take care. Bye bye.
Okay. Have a good one.
Good weekend. Good luck to your wife. Give your wife good luck
Oh.
from me.
I will. Thank you.
I hope that goes really well.
Yeah.
Let me know what's happening.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
Good.
All right, so I don't have any further questions right now, David, either. So I'm okay.
Okay. Yeah, I think you're okay. Sure. I think.
Lock, David.
What?
I'll lock.
Yes. Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks, Bill. Um, so, Jeff, have a good week.
You too?
How's Jesse?
Good.
Good.
Doing well.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
So, all is well right now. Looking forward to that. He's getting all ramped up for the holiday season. Getting very excited. So,
Oh, I'll bet.
you know,
I'll bet. Yeah, I remember the boys in the holiday season, even though basically at that point weren't really celebrating Easter, but we did have a Christmas tree and we did have a few presents.
yeah, he and I, we've always. I mean, we're not religious or anything, but we have this tiny, this small artificial tree that we've just been putting up. Hey, hi. That we've been putting up every year. So we did that this past weekend and got some new lights for it. We went to Walmart and bought some new lights for it, and Jesse picked out a new star for the top. It's only like a 3-foot tree or something, but
Yeah.
it makes the whole living room and the whole main living area just feel more bright and festive. So
Yeah.
stuff like that. Stuff
Good.
like that. Yeah.
Good.
So, all right. Well, you guys have a nice week, and I
Yeah,
will
we'll
see you
next week.
Tuesday. Okay. Take care. Bye, Jane.
Bye.